I used to be a highly anxious person, just thinking about all the goals and all the things that I had to accomplish in the future. I wanted to get to a certain amount of money that I made every month, or a certain physique that I wanted, or be in a certain phase of my life. And we focus so much on these parts of our life where you say, I thought I would be somewhere further along in my life right now, whether it's having a full family, or that house, or that relationship, or that job, or being more emotionally mature, whatever it is. You were putting a lot of pressure on yourself to get somewhere that wasn't meant for you at the time. And I can tell you exactly why. The whole point of this call is to show you how to detach from outcomes and then be more present, because that's something that my entire community has struggled with, and that's exactly why I made this presentation. And obviously, detachment is easier said than done. I want you to follow along in all the things that I talk about in this video, because they're very, very important, and it can be a lot to absorb. If anything doesn't make sense, please take notes or rewatch it, because there's a lot to process in this video, and it has to do with energetics and being present and your mindset and neuroplasticity and a lot of different topics that I like to talk about. I want you to be present, don't have any distractions, be off your phone, and learn how your brain works, how your body works, how your energetic pathways work. So that way it might give you some clues onto why you are where you are right now, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. I hope you get something out of this video, and if you do, please comment something down below. I would love to hear if you got any epiphanies or any light bulb moments. It would help me to understand what you guys like to see, and I'll see you in the call.
So we're going to talk about, as you can see from the title, don't read ahead. Oh, you can't, I hope. Detachment and presence. So this one came from a couple of the check-ins that I've been seeing around lately, and just group and one-on-one calls from a couple of people and myself as well. So this will be for me, for everyone, and let me know if it helps. And if you guys need any or have any questions in the middle of it, feel free to use the chat. It helps a lot. So what is detachment? Detachment stems from the ability to let go. No, it is inability. My bad. Detachment stems from the inability to let go of the result and let go of control. So when you're chasing a certain look, feel, mindset, healing state, you will energetically become a polar opposite for that outcome, right? The more you chase something, the more it runs away. So you're basically doing all the right things, and you keep asking yourself, why can't I already get to my goal, XYZ? It can be about anything. Or why can't I feel a certain way? Detachment isn't about not being focused on your goal. It's about letting go of the anxiety and the obsession of the outcome. So that last part is what we're going to be focusing on for the rest. Welcome, Nick. The last part is we're going to be focusing on for the rest of the presentation. It's like helping you understand how to let go of anxiety and the obsession of the outcome and other things that cause the anxiety. So we're going to talk about dopamine really quick. Dopamine and the pursuit. Basically, dopamine is a double-edged sword, right? You can have good dopamine and bad dopamine. You can have too much or too little. But that little doom scroll device that you have in your pocket is just basically full of dopamine. I'm sure you know that. But there's other things that can cause dopamine that you don't really think are dopamine. So crash dieting and seeing the scale drop 5 pounds and then starving yourself is dopamine. It's not the good kind of dopamine, but it's a reinforcement cycle that causes dopamine. But basically, your brain is wired to find satisfaction for the moment, not for the outcome, for the immediate moment. That's why doom scrolling is it's one of the hardest things to let go of, because it's immediate reinforcement cycle. There's no outcome out of it either. So it's just an endless loop with no outcome. So we can talk about neuroplasticity to kind of help you understand how we can potentially solve getting out of negative dopamine. Neuroplasticity, if you haven't talked about this, or if we even talked about this one-on-one, or you want to know more about neuroplasticity, we can do a whole group call about it, because it's more science-based, but this one's more mindset. This whole presentation is more mindset. But basically, neuroplasticity, from a scientific point of view, is the ability for your neural networks in your brain to change and create new connections through growth and reorganization, basically rewiring your brain and its thoughts and beliefs by learning and changing. Sounds easier said than done. But how can you do it? You can change your brain's chemistry to finally adapt and learn to the situation. So one thing you can do is start by detaching from the outcome, because that requires neuroplasticity. Because again, we're human and we're conditioned to chase the outcomes and chase dopamine, short-term goals. So we're conditioned to chase school graduation, work promotions, getting married, looking forward to outcomes at a specific date or a specific part of your life. And I'm sure you've heard this from friends where people say, I didn't think my life would look like this at this age, or I thought I would be further along at XYZ. That's because we're focused on the outcome. And I've said that I told myself I was going to be married and like have a house and the whole 9 yards at 30. And here I am, none of those things. So, but that's okay, because I've dropped that. And I'm sure that having you understand how to release those outcomes is going to take a little bit of rewiring, and that's okay, because that's the whole point of why we're here. So, and then words also play a huge role in neuroplasticity. This is something that I've came about with a huge, I guess, epiphany of sorts that helped me understand how I can rewire my brain. So I get this probably sounds a little woo-woo, but there's also science behind this, because neuroplasticity is based off your self-talk. So if it's based off your self-talk, then that means your words carry a lot of energy behind them. So negative self-talk is basically reinforcing the ideas that I'm fat, I'm not worth it, I'm unlovable, I'll never reach my goal, blah, 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 right? And we all have some negative self-talk. I'm sure everyone's brains have bullied them into negative self-talk. So it's very common. But once those thoughts become words, that's where things really change, right? So we're going to get a little bit more woo-woo. So kind of follow along with what I'm about to say and try and pay close attention. So there's 2 points to this entire epiphany that I had. And then I'm going to wrap it together. Okay. So point 1, okay. Words come from your vocal cords, and words produce sound and tone, correct? Cool. Vocal cords are the only human organ where you can control the sound and tone. That's the only thing right? So it's just stating facts right now. And sound is a form of energy, right? Energy is science. Energy is also energetic as well and spiritual. So far, just focusing on sound and where sound comes from and how sound is made and carrying energy. Sound also carries frequency, which creates tone. Okay, so following along here. Frequency, I know there's a lot of like then and then and then and then. So frequency is a characteristic that measures how fast a sound wave is vibrating. That's just Google definition. I didn't make that up. So an example would be like a high-pitched voice is when vocal cords are vibrating faster, creating more sound waves with a higher frequency, right? Kind of like dogs can hear higher frequencies more than humans because of different energy levels. And then a low pitch voice is low frequency is vibrating slower. So, and you can measure all the frequencies and all the energy that each sound wave carries, measuring devices and all that stuff, right? Cool. So we have sound carries frequency and tone. So tone is the quality or pitch of that sound determined by its frequency. I know it's a little confusing, but there's equations and stuff for this, but we don't have to go into that. So the tone is just basically the quality of the sound you're producing, right? Good tone, bad tone. It's your vocal cords in resonance with your throat, sound, or your throat, mouth, nasal cavity, and emotional energy. If you're really sad, your tone is going to be very low, and it's going to carry more so of a melancholy type of tone. If you're happy, you're going to be high-pitched, higher frequency, and your vocal cords are going to carry more smooth vibrating sounds, right? So this is all just science, okay? Cool. I just said this. Warm, soothing tone might be slower frequency and softer sound, and excited tone might be higher frequency and more intense sound. Cool. So now point 2. So point 2, we're going to talk about energetics. To attain a goal, you must match the energetic frequency of attaining and sustaining that accomplishment, right? If you want to attain a goal, like I said, there's the welcome, Stefan. Point 2, like I said, if I'm sure you guys have heard the law of attraction, right? You have to be the person that you want to attract, right? That law, it's a law of the universe. It applies everywhere, especially with goals and outcomes that you're trying to accomplish. So this is why people that win the lottery can never become wealthy, because they lose it. Why? They're not an energetic match for that amount of money. But business-oriented people that love the process and detach from the outcome can build multiple sources of wealth. They're an energetic match because for this goal, because of their skill, thoughts, patterns, words. It can be, doesn't have to be business. It can be someone that's just really good with money and budgeting and, investing, whatever it is. My point is there's people that build themselves to be a match for the person that they want to become or attract. So that's just a law of the universe. Okay. So let's wrap it up. So when you speak the words, right, the vocals, the tone, the sound, you're speaking into who you are now in this moment, right? And who you will continue to become if that language doesn't change. So if you're telling yourself vocally, I'm fat and unworthy, or you're even thinking it, because that's just as powerful, that will continue to be your reality unless you change it. I'm sure we've all kind of said those negative self-talk things that just kind of slip out of our mouth every now and then. You're like, I'm a piece of shit for doing this. Oh, I'm so ignorant, blah, blah, blah. Those are the things that won't help you become who you want to be. You'll continue to stay in your own circumstance. Or if people say, I'm fat and broke, well, you'll only see everything that you can't afford then. So the frequency that comes from your words and your voice is now reinforced in your brain and your neurons as neuroplasticity, right? You're getting that reinforcement cycle. And there's also, you can look it up, right? You Google it, right? Reticular activating system in your brain. It's just, you could just look up RA, brain. And it basically, if you've ever played the game Slug Bug, where you're punching your sibling or your best friend in the car looking for beetles on the road, your brain's going to actively look for things once it's been told those things, right? Because of words. Hey, look for slug bugs. Okay, now you only see those slug bugs. Or when you get a new car, you only see that type of car on the road. Or when you buy something like a new purse or something, you only see women carrying around that type of purse. This is how your brain works. So, therefore, if you're going to show up as you say you are, based on your words and your thoughts, and you now match that low frequency of your words. So essentially, thoughts become words, words become action, action become habits, habits become lifestyle, and lifestyle leads to your outcome, right? So we'll come back to this because this is something that this is my whole epiphany. And the frequency of your words not only affects how you feel, but also how you show up in the world. Because again, there's energy behind all these things. And if your words can penetrate a lot of your reality, if they hold a lot of gravity and a lot of weight. So last thing I'm going to say for this slide is speak as the person you want to become, not the one you're trying to leave behind. Again, look into the law of attraction if you want, or you can go to, I haven't posted it yet, but the laws of the universe, we talked about law of attraction in that. But it's always making sure that you can bring the person that you want to become into the now. And who would they be saying? What would they be saying? How would they be showing up? What would they be telling you? So we can talk about this later. But that was a fun epiphany. So next thing, to detach from the outcome. Remember that there's no finish line. Focus on the daily habits and foundation, not just the end goal, right? Very normal or very, very common. When you're fixated on the outcome, you're setting yourself up for anxiety and burnout. Why? Well, because you haven't learned to zoom out. You need to find growth and consistency in what you do instead of trying to fast track the process. There's never going to be a shortcut to where you want to go or who you want to be. It just takes consistent action. But neuroplasticity matters on top of that consistent action. And this is why we build foundational habits, especially in the program, like awareness around food, basics of training, intensity, biomechanics of training, your gut health, macros, relationship with food, all this stuff. Not just like, hey, here's a meal plan, follow it, follow this 4 sets of 5, blah, blah, blah. No, there's more to it than that. And that's why you're here. And then if you focus on the habits that have the most leverage, which is my favorite thing to do with my style of coaching, is taking the small tweaks that create big change, more leverage, right? You will see the biggest change. Small tweaks, big change. You see more of a domino effect. So growth mindset will also lead to detachment. Growth mindset is taking a failure and creating a lesson out of it, or taking an obstacle and creating a lesson out of it as well. And then this is something that I learned from a mentor, and it's been with me for a long time, because I used to think of myself as a slow learner, therefore I wasn't smart. But this hopefully shifts your mindset around that. So I'm going to make another definition, okay? Learning is the ability to take a mistake you made, make an adjustment, and do it again, right? You learn something, you make a mistake. Like cooking is probably the easiest reinforcement cycle. Like you fuck up the taste of the food, you're going to not make that mistake again and go through it so that way it doesn't taste like shit. Otherwise, the same mistake would be made over and over again, and that's insanity, right? So intelligence, however, is different from learning and how smart you are. Intelligence is the rate at which you learn, basically how fast someone can learn. The rate is just the ability and how fast you can do that. So if you can learn fast by taking a mistake, making an adjustment, so you can learn fast by making a mistake and making the adjustment so you don't repeat the same mistake. Therefore, you're considered intelligent. But someone that's not intelligent is someone that literally just continues making the same mistake over and over again, expecting a different result. Or going through the same same obstacle over and over again, expecting a different result. That's just burnout. And that leads to an anxiety as well. Not an anxiety, but anxiety in general. So we'll come back to this, but over time, intelligence will allow you to find peace within the process and create a life where you and anxiety and burnout don't exist. So once you learn to become better at practicing how to solve the mistakes or obstacles, or go about things in a different way, or reframe things even, that's even a sign of intelligence, right? Because that's going to help you understand, oh shit, that's a reinforcement cycle, and that's good dopamine that I want. I want more of that. How can I get that? And you start looking at things differently, so that way you can feel more at ease instead of feeling anxious all the time of when things aren't working the way that you want them to. So it's just finding different solutions. The same thing that caused a problem isn't going to be the same thing that helps you find the solution. So, and then communicate and stick to the protocol. So I'm sure you've heard me say, just jump back on the train when life shit hits the fan and just gets crazy in general. If you want instant results this is just me stating something. You want instant results after your first mistake and failure, and then you give up on yourself, and then you feel shameful about not doing something, and then you don't communicate, which leads to more guilt around the thing you're avoiding. So this is something I struggled with for a long time, because, if you feel like you're not making your parents proud, or your coach, or your friends, or your whoever, and you feel shameful about it, it's just going to cause you to isolate and not communicate those things because you feel like they wouldn't understand. But in reality, everyone understands, because everyone's been on that similar playing field at some point in their life. It's just being open enough to listen and being open enough to communicate. So for example, I've had people say, I said this myself actually, I ate at a buffet this weekend and I ate a fuck ton of calories. I don't know what this number is. 6 million, that's a lot. Yeah, 6 million calories. That's a lot. Or I didn't work out at all this week. I forgot to eat my protein yesterday. I got 4 hours of sleep most days this week. I get it. I've been here too. I'm no different in my actions, but I am different in my response. And again, that is a sign, not that I'm like intelligent or trying to toot my own horn. It's more so, it took me a long time to get to this point. So I want you to get there a little bit more efficiently and understand that the faster that you learn from the mistakes or the things that are holding you back, the easier it is to detach from the outcome, because you've already consistently built the habits. So point is though, I continue to jump back on protocol, stick to the thing. And there's this human condition to fuck up, make hella mistakes, and overcorrect, right? Everyone does it. I do it. But the truth is you don't need to, because all that does is create more anxiety and put you on a path you're not meant to be, and then reinforce negative dopamine. Overcorrection means you're just deterring from the path harder, right? Trying to jump back on the wagon or whatever it is. For example, if you overeat, you're going to significantly restrict the next day instead of just jumping back on their normal food, normal breakfast, normal eating habits, instead of over restricting and then not eating for the entire day almost, and then binging the next day. And then there's a cycle, right? One domino effect leads to the other. So it's understanding you don't need to overcorrect. You need to slowly bring yourself back onto the path and just not overcorrect. So, and then when you feel lost, you need to communicate to someone, ideally me, if it's about, stuff like this, and let me know how you're doing. Cause I can't read your brain, but that's communication and sticking to the protocol. So this one's called Love the Hard Shit. So there's two types of motivation. There's intrinsic and extrinsic. We're going to first talk about intrinsic. So do the work because you love it, not because you want the end result. That's what intrinsic motivation is. It's like it comes from internal, right? You do something because you actually love it and the way it makes you feel, it's good dopamine, right? And this is true success and fulfillment because you're finding joy in the process, not just the finish line. So example is you enjoy eating healthy because the whole food tastes way better than processed food. Or you train because you genuinely enjoy being in the gym, challenging yourself to improve every week, getting stronger. Good reinforcement cycle, right? Extrinsic motivation is you're doing the work because you're focused on the outcome and the result from it. For example, I want to get to XYZ weight. And then after that, I don't have a plan. And if I had a penny, I just want to lose 20 pounds. And then after that, they don't really have a goal. There's no exit plan, or there's no plan afterwards to sustain that, which is why a lot of people gain the weight back. So an example is you would only work out because you want to lose weight or look good for an event. Weddings, birthday parties, New Year's, whatever. Or you're doing it as a temporary solution to a temporary goal, extrinsic. Motivation is tied to the external motivation, getting compliments, meeting society standards, etc. So it's more so, I want these people to validate me, and I want to feel good about this situation when I'm there. So therefore, I'm going to do XYZ more aggressively in order for me to get there, even though I know it's not sustainable. So we always want to be at least as much as possible, right? It's never going to be 100%, but more intrinsic than extrinsic. You are more likely to struggle if you're extrinsically motivated because you're attached to the outcome, right? There's attachment there. So you're going to say to yourself, I need to do this so I can graduate. Got it. You need to be aggressive, or you need to stay up late, or you need to just suffer because you need to graduate. Got it. I need to do this so I can get fit. I need to do this because XYZ. That's extrinsic. Or you're going to shut the fuck up and be grateful for the ability to do all these things and be grateful. So this is a little fulfillment equation. Gratitude plus intrinsic motivation is fulfillment. So, and I say grateful because I have to remind myself about a lot of things all the time when I feel like life is hard. It's not that I can't complain, because we all have our validations, or not validations. We're all valid in complaining in some way, shape, or form. But instead of saying, I need to do this so I can do XYZ, you say, I get to do this so I can do XYZ. I get to do this so I can become more fit and healthy. I get to eat this food because I care about my body. Because the reality is this real shit. You're in the top 1 to 2% of the people in the world that can actually make a difference in their lives and have a chance to train, eat healthy, have a community of people that strive to do better, have access to all the information in the motherfucking world at your fingertips in the little dopamine device, and have people to guide you along the way, because that's fulfillment, right? Otherwise, if you were doing this alone, it wouldn't feel so good. I mean, I used to do it alone for fucking forever. So I understand what it's like to be on the opposite end, and I'm sure you do too. But yeah, this is intrinsic and extrinsic, and I hope that made sense. So we're going to talk a little bit about victimhood. Okay. So please hear me out when I say this. Okay. Your trauma and your present situation is valid. I'm not here to belittle your circumstances at all, right? Like I said earlier, we all have validation in our complaining of our current reality, right? Because we are where we are because we put ourselves there. But what I am here to do is challenge you and help you think differently so you can learn why you're so fixated on XYZ instead of seeing the other opportunities that you have in front of you. So the victimhood cycle looks like this. You join an amazing program like this one. I'm just kidding. Well, yeah. I mean, let's just run with the example, okay? And then you're made aware, you're big aware, it's in red, of all your self-sabotage, your traumas, your failures, your mistakes, and why you can't achieve a goal, right? That's kind of the point. That's the first step, is being aware that you have a problem and that we all have problems, that we're all imperfect, okay? But here's where it gets a little weird. Or not weird, but victimhood kicks in. And then you think, shit, all that happened to me. And then your mindset goes to me, just me. All this happened to me? That's nuts. And then you get stuck in the mindset of woe is me. Right? I've been there. And then this triggers depression, this triggers victimhood, this triggers shame, isolation, guilt, all of it. All the low frequency shit. I just said this. And then you feel guilty, shame, fear of not being enough to achieve or feel XYZ, which leads you to not communicate because you think you will never achieve XYZ, right? You isolate because you haven't detached from the outcome, right? So you're made aware of all these things and you're like, oh, this is where I want to go. And this is where I am. I'm aware of all these things in my current reality. And then you're like, oh shit, I'm so stuck here. I'm never going to get out because I see where I want to go and it's so far and that gap looks like a million years away. I'm never going to get there. And that's where people stay stuck for a while. It's like, I know I need to do this, but I just can't. I'm sure you've heard it. So, or if it's you, then I hope it's familiar. So, but remember, this is just a phase of healing. Like awareness is just a phase. It should be only just a phase, a season of a chapter of your life. But some people choose to stay here, right? Emphasis on choose. It's not a conscious choice. It's a very subconscious and negatively reinforced cycle, but it's a choice nonetheless. And that trauma is holding your power and keeping you stuck. But remember this, okay? The trauma that you're experiencing, it doesn't exist anymore. Trauma happened. That's why it's trauma. It's no longer here. Right now, in this moment, you're just choosing to relive it. I'm sure we've all been there. I've had physical experiences of reliving trauma. And that's why we practiced that breathwork last group call, right? That if you were on the group call 2 weeks ago, that breathwork is supposed to release somatically things that are stored in the body because your body will keep store of certain traumas, right? And so will your mind. But you're choosing to relive it because you haven't worked through it. And that's the purpose of actually working through trauma. So anyway, the whole purpose of talking about this is having you understand coming back into the now is going to be your biggest tool for you to heal. So come back to the now and move through your victimhood. Let go of your outcomes, your past, your future, your trauma, because none of it exists. The past existed. The future doesn't exist yet. The trauma happened, but it's not here right now. Nothing's happening to you right now. In this moment, you're safe. You have a roof over your head. You have food in the fridge. You have a job. You have a family. You have a dog. Whatever it is, right? So, and I'll come back to presence in a little bit because presence is something that I see a lot of people struggle with, and I think I need to talk about this more. So, we're going to continue. But Mike, how do I stay present and detach? Glad you asked, Barbara. Thank God there's no one named Barbara here. Like we mentioned, it starts in the mind. Your thoughts become words, words become action, action becomes habit, habit leads to lifestyle. If you get anything out of this entire presentation, just remember that one. So we go to the source, the thoughts and words. Those are the two things that start this entire cycle, okay? You must catch yourself before you jump into anxiety. And I know it sounds weird when I say this, but kind of follow along here. So what does that mean? When your hands get sweaty, when you feel anxious, or it can be, you can replace anxiousness with any other exaggerated and aggressive emotion or state of being, okay? But follow along here. When your hands get sweaty, your heart's pounding, mom, your nerves, how's the song go? Your hands get sweaty, mom on spaghetti on mom's sweater already? No, never mind. Sorry. When your hands get sweaty, your heart is pounding, your nerves are nerving. What is causing this? Is it external or internal? Usually it's internal because you reacted. So in most cases, it's your reaction to something emotionally, right? Then what happens is instead of running away, you just sit in it. Sit in that situation, sit in those words, sit in that thought, sit in it. Let it be. Because it is as it is. It came up. So just notice it, right? Understand there's nothing to run away from because they're just thoughts. They don't actually endanger you. But your body thinks they are endangering you. Why? Because fight or flight and our bodies are made like this for millennia, right? It thinks you're running away from a bear. So you're not actually in danger. You're just putting yourself in danger based on your thoughts. So you notice the thoughts that come up as you sit there. Just notice. Let them pass. Just notice. Okay. Because right now your current cycle is you're experiencing trauma and then you react to the trauma and pay attention to the words that are in red. We allow ourselves to attach meaning and emotion and identity to it. And then we notice it and absorb it heavily, suppress it, and let it bubble up for 20 plus years. And then we re-experience it when another similar trigger happens, right? That's how trauma happens, right? And then little trauma becomes big trauma, right? When you bottle it up and suppress it. So instead, what we want to do, this is what presence looks like, is catch it before trauma becomes real trauma, right? Lowercase trauma becomes uppercase trauma. We experience trauma. I'm sure we experience it every single day. We don't know it yet, but the only way for us to prevent it from becoming uppercase trauma is to respond, not react. So if you notice the words that are in red and the words that are in blue, these are the things that we want to do the opposite of, basically. So respond instead of react. And then we choose to create a clear memory or identity to it instead of allowing ourselves to attach meaning to the identity, or sorry, to the situation or emotion, right? You can choose. Do I choose myself to relive this trauma with this person or allow myself to be triggered? Or do I choose to just allow it to be as it is? And then you just notice it and allow it to pass. You don't need to let it bubble up for 20 years after that, because that's presence already. Once it's passed, the only thing left is the current moment, which is now. And in the now, in this present moment, you can choose to process it if you choose to do so. Like, oh, that thing happened, or this person said that, or I thought this. So let me process that. Let me voice memo it. Let me breathe through it. Let me talk myself through it. Let me talk to a friend about it. Let me reach out to my coach about it. Oh, this thing just happened. There's so many different things that can happen, but you need to understand, instead of bubbling it, letting it bubble up for not 20 years, but like a week, 2 weeks, 20 weeks, whatever, that can cause a lot of anxiety and stress in people, which causes them to isolate. So trauma becomes permanent when we don't give it permission to pass. Presence is what gives it that permission to pass. So take a screenshot of that, because I came up with that. I was like, damn. So trauma becomes permanent when we don't give it permission to pass. So you have to become present in order for you to allow it to pass. Because you have the key to the gates to allow it to pass. You're just choosing to stand in front of the gate and create a bunch of tomfoolery in front of the fucking trauma that's in front of you, and then basically start a war inside your head. For what? You have more time. Or we have way more things to do with our time. So here's some practicality. Okay, so mindfulness practice. Stay in the moment. So breathing and box breathing helped me a lot. Breathwork has changed my life for the better in terms of being more present. So you can do box breathing to help you with certain situations. These are just quick, like, practicality tools. So you can take a screenshot at the end. Box breathing is just 4 seconds in, 4 seconds at the top of the in breath. So you hold it for 4 seconds, and then you exhale for 4 seconds, and then you hold on empty for 4 seconds. So it's like a big box, right? In 4, hold 4, out 4, hold 4, and then again. There's meditation YouTube videos on this if you want to follow along. And then you repeat as long as you need, 3 to 10 times, whatever is necessary. But also meditation, breath work, going on a walk without your phone, or just take a damn breath and get some motherfucking sun can help you focus on the now and detach from the future. Because we're always on our screens. I'm in front of my screens all day. I have to go outside and touch some grass often. So setting process goals. This comes back to the intrinsic and extrinsic stuff that we talked about. But vague goals is, I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, how? With what plan? I want to make $1 million. Okay, how? With what protocol? Specific goals, these will help you see where you want to go and create the necessary habits and foundation in order for you to get there. And then detach from the outcome, because when it happens is when it happens. You're not in charge of how long it takes for you to get there. You can make it more efficient, or you can make it less efficient. That's all you can do. So anyway, I'm going to crush my workout 4 times this week so I can lose 10 pounds. That's very specific. Instead of just, I want to lose 10 pounds. Cool. Instead of, I want to make $1 million, I'm going to work X amount of hours per day / week on this business without distractions so I can at least reach blah, blah, blah per month to reach $1 million. I think to make $1 million a year, it's 8,000 or 80,000 or more than 80,000, like 88,000 or something like that. So goals without a purpose are just dreams. Fuck a dream if you can't work towards it without tangible steps. So do you see which of these would help you detach from that goal and the small mindset shift that allows you to focus on the process rather than the finish? Because it's the work in between that matters. And I heard this from another mentor that I look up to. He said, end goals don't matter because the end goal is death. Like, if you really, truly love the process, then nothing at the end really matters. It's everything that you do in between, because when you stop working or when you stop feeling fulfillment or happy about a certain situation, that's when we're no longer here. So instead of focusing so much on, like, when am I going to get there? And then you realize when you get there, it's not like, oh, I don't feel that much different. Or if you do feel different, great, amazing. But if it's like it's a vague goal, it doesn't really change your reality that much. So I didn't finish the summary, but I'll go through it really quick if you guys have any questions. So detachment isn't about just giving up on your goals. It's about letting go of obsession with the outcome. And the more you chase, the more you repel it. So detachment is peace and trusting the process. Dopamine, we talked about that. It's like your brain is wired for short-term pleasure, not long-term fulfillment. And you get quick dopamine hits all the time to give you fake wins and make you feel like you're being productive. And just rewiring your brain with what I was talking about in terms of your words. I think that was the biggest epiphany that I've had this entire slide deck presentation, is coming back to that. And then neuroplasticity. Your thoughts and your words shape your brain. Negative self-talk wires you into a loop of failure. And you want to speak and think like the person you want to become, or stay stuck in the cycle where you've been. So instead of saying I'm fat, or saying I'm fat reinforces the cycle, but saying I'm becoming stronger creates more so a new reality. And then thoughts become words, words become action, and then you guys know the rest. If you don't know the rest, ask me later. Words are energy, sound has frequency, and when you speak negatively, you vibrate low and attract low. When you speak like the version of who already has the result, you'll match it energetically. And just remember that there's no rush. So just focusing on the outcome, only the outcome leads to burnout and disappointment. And then true peace comes from building strong daily habits, training, food, awareness, sleep, gut health, movement, communication, and all that stuff. And I didn't finish, but I'll leave you with this quote. Be the person you're supposed to be while you're here. Don't wait until your life is over to meet them. That's the whole quote. Wonderful. How does everyone feel? Do we feel present and regulated after this, or more anxious?
Still processing.
That's good.
I'm like, that was pretty deep.
Yeah. I felt like it was necessary. Just a lot to think about. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to definitely post this one. This one sounds like you guys might need to watch it.
This is juicy. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good one.
I ran through it. I high key called out. Did you
I
mean?
think he feels called out.
Oh, he feels called out. Got it. Yeah. It's not just you, brother. This is for me too, and this is for a lot of people in general. That I look at the check-ins and I see a lot of things from calls. So
Some of this stuff with is like endless in my mind, you know, going around in circles with my own self.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the human condition, brother. And it's just understanding how we can become a little bit more present helps a lot. So what I would say is speaking yourself through the negative self-talk and just noticing how toxic it is can be a first step for a lot of people, and just being super hyper aware of it instead of just letting it pass. You know what I mean? Or just noticing the thoughts. But
I think I'm good at being like my awareness of what I'm doing or what my actions are.
Yeah.
Or what they could possibly be.
Yeah.
But I think I'm too good at burying some of the stuff, like shoveling it back under the mat type stuff, and deal with it later.
But later never comes.
No, you just kind of leave it there until it resurfaces, and then you try to bury it again.
Yeah.
This is the typical cycle, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. But that has never really led to a fully healed version of you.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's the right way. I'm just saying it's just
right. Well, it's the way that you live.
Yeah, it's just
the way that you were brought up with, which is normal, dude. I get it.
Yeah.
Same thing here. My Hispanic family, you know, they don't really talk about like emotions. It's just like you got to do the work and shut up.
Yeah, it's like do it and shut up, or don't complain. There's
Yeah.
people starving. Don't have a roof over their head. They got it worse than you, even when you think you have it bad. Is how I was taught. Like it's fucked.
And that's why I added that part in there. It's like, yes, we have a lot of gratitude. We should have a lot of gratitude for doing everything that we get to do on a daily basis, but that doesn't mean that we don't get to quote unquote complain or like talk about what we're going through, because there are our own problems, and that doesn't mean that they're less valid. That just means that we have a different set of problems that other people do, and that's okay. But it's still our responsibility to work through those problems for ourselves, instead of just like, well, it could be worse. Yeah, it can be. Like, you could fucking be amputated right now, and that would absolutely be worse on top of the shit that you have right now, but you don't want to be there, and you're not there. So does that make sense? I don't know. I kind of just
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay. So it's more so understanding all of that all at once. Allie, you came in a little late. We just finished. It's okay.
But
We'll have to,
definitely go listen to this one replay
yeah,
whenever Mike posts it.
we'll replay it very soon. I post other ones in the playlist. So the last like 2 or 3 or 4 should be there. Let me see.
On
Right.
YouTube, right?
On the YouTubes. Yeah, there
Yeah,
it's in the
okay.
playlist is in Discord too. Or let's just show you in Discord since we're already here. Discord. Where am I? Expectations, weekly group call recordings. There we go. And then you go to the playlist. Last, I scheduled them for this week. Yeah, so Ash talked about avoidance, so that one's up.
Yeah.
And then commitment issues, I think that's hers as well. And we did this one in terms of your nutrition. So I need to repost. I'm gonna actually edit the breathwork that we did differently because the audio came out like shit. So
Hey, your audio, I don't know if it was me or my AirPods, but like on my end, a few times it was sounding like kind of robot-y. I don't know if others heard it that way too
got it.
on
Yeah.
today's call, but it wasn't bad. It only happened for like a couple seconds at a time. It could have been my end too. I don't know.
On today's call right now?
Yeah,
Oh.
but I don't know if it was just me or if others heard it like that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean sometimes that happens.
It very well could have been my end.
Yeah,
But
that
this
happens.
was a great get you in your feelings one right here.
Yeah.
If you're really like thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of people could relate here for that. This one was great.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. So I will definitely post it, and then we can talk about presence a little more because I talked about more so detachment in this entire thing. I only had like 2 or 3 slides on presence. So I want to talk more about that. I think that would help with a lot of people. Because I have Izzy reading The Power of Now. And it's more so it's a huge like epiphany book if you want to learn more about being present and the thought process that goes behind it or the lack of actually. So if you guys want an audiobook or want to read the book, go for it. I think it would help you a lot. But yeah, Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, if you guys want it. So we'll talk about presence on the next group call. But yeah, we'll post this one very soon.
Right on.
Any questions, any feedback, guys? Jeff, Izzy, Stefan?
I came late, so I didn't get to hear the first part, so I'll have to go over it again.
Oh no, you're good, dude. I mean, you came at a pretty decent time. I think you came in like at the 3rd or 4th slide, kind of like near the beginning, but not too late. You know, I think you're good. But I'll definitely post it so you can listen to the rest. Did you like the rest though? What did you listen to?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
How
are you feeling with the fast?
I like crap, but I'll deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah, not okay. I should put not like crap, but
yeah.
When you keep seeing like, I see like my coworkers have like food, and I'm like, dang, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's just the mind.
Yeah, I'll text you after this, and then we'll kind of see where you're at if you want to continue. With good reputation, definitely need a second watch. Need to put a lot in practice. Yes, it's good, dude. Yeah, practice and habits is what needs to happen for everyone. You can't just be hyper aware of all this stuff and be like, yeah, cool. But yeah, I'll definitely post it now that you guys are.
Yeah, I do a lot of the things like you were saying, like bad talking, of myself.
Negative self-talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here. Happens. Sometimes it's a coping mechanism for us, but the more we notice it, the more you will learn to shift it to just positive and be aware of the thoughts are around it that are causing it. Izzy,
Yeah.
do you have any? Do you have any feedback?
No, I'm just thinking. It's just my my brain's kind of like in that mode where it's like, well, damn, he's talking about me. That's not what. Why is he talking about me? But really, it's about everybody, and it's very universal. And
Yes.
my brain's just kind of in a little defense mode. So
Yeah. It's normal.
I'm just thinking. I took little notes. I'll go back to my notes. I'll read them.
Good. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, I will. I'm going to make it a goal to post this in the next 2 days or so. So you guys have it. But yeah, I'm not talking about you. I mean, if certain parts hit, then I'm glad it resonated, but it's for the themes that I see with everyone in the community. So it's more so everyone and things that I struggled with too. But yeah, it's part of the human condition. So that might be like something there's some medicine for you there if you're focused on feeling, not focused on, but if you feel like defensive about it, think about what part specifically, and then notice the thoughts that come around that. How your brain gets defensive around it instead of trying to defend yourself. You just kind of like, oh, I shouldn't be validating myself. I should be more open to why I am in this pattern. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Cool, guys. Good call. Beautiful. I wish more people were here to see it. It's okay. We'll post it. You could do me a favor and blow it up in the chat on how everyone missed a great call and they should be there next time. So that way we can be like, y'all missed it. Okay. But I'll see y'all later.
For sure.
I'll see y'all later. I'll see you in the chat and have a good night. Later, guys.